G'day, SpartanWilly here, and welcome back to my Aston Martin Motorsport Manager F1 2021 Manager Mod Save, first episode of Season 2. Alright, so whether you're a returning watcher, viewer from Season 1 or you're brand new to the series here, this is the beginning of Season 2. So if you haven't seen Season 1, I highly recommend, or maybe not highly, but I recommend you go check that out. If you don't want to check that out, there's 23 episodes. I'll give you a quick rundown in this video. But yeah, this is the start of season 2 where with Aston Martin here building a legacy. So the quick wrap up of sort of season 1 here, if you didn't watch it or you just want a quick refresher, I mean it did end just yesterday, but just in case you've forgotten, obviously we finished 6th over AlphaTauri. We're sort of in no man's land there, about 40 points ahead of 7th place and over 100 behind 5th place Alpine, sorry. We worked on the car till about race 15, then we started working towards next year's car. So we've got a sick car hopefully for this year, where we can hopefully fight a bit further up the table. As you can see there, Red Bull won their constructors championship. Hamilton won the drivers on the last race in Abu Dhabi. Ferrari had a good little run towards the end of the season with Charles Leclerc. Alpine won a race, Mercedes won 9, Red Bull won 10. Alfa Romeo didn't get a single point. They finished rock bottom of the championship. Our driver lineup was Sebastian Vettel, Lance Stroll, and Nico Hulkenberg. And Lance Stroll finished in 11th and Vettel finished in 12th, right behind each other, about 9 points difference. Vettel did actually have like 10 DNS last season though, so I think there was a streak where his car didn't finish a race for the first 6 races or something ridiculous of the season, and then he crashed another 6 times throughout the season. So to only have a 9 point gap to Stroll isn't that bad, really. But yeah, he just couldn't finish a race for the life of him at the start of last season. Yeah, and you're pretty much up to speed. So, I mean, I've summarized 23 episodes. We had our moments. We got a front row lockouts. We almost got another front row lockout towards the end of the season. You can see the individual development of the parts. But yeah, that is basically a really quick summary of season 1. Let's get into season 2. Alright, so we'll do the car reveal first, and then we'll move on to the driver lineup reveal, which has had a lot of contention. Obviously, we had a few poles we had 1 pole last season. We'll see how we go there, but first of all, look at the car reveal. Ready? Season 2, drum roll please. Bang. So that is the car. It's the same livery style. We just added a white trim at the bottom and a bit of like a white fin at the top there, but the fundamentals of the car are the same. I did sort of mess around with a black sort of base with that green there and there, but I thought this looked pretty clean. It was something a bit different, but not too different. But yeah, I always think black base looks good on Formula One cars. But yeah, look at the performance of the thing. We sort of had a sneak peek at the end of last season. We could see the relative performance, and that carried straight into this season. Obviously, best top speed on grid, which is going to be fantastic because engine's a big part in this mod. We've got some parts to design. Hopefully, we can improve some parts as well. But yeah, that's the car. I'm pretty happy how it looks. We've got a new sponsor there, Energizer, the battery company, on the side of the front, the rear wing, which looks all right. Yeah, so that's the car. All the car stats are base. We didn't really favor tire wear or tire heating or fuel efficiency improvability. Sort of kept it all what they start on. We're going to work on the suspension, I think, first because that's where we're lacking the most. And we've got a bit of a gap close to Mercedes. But yeah, that's the car. Let's move into our driver lineup. So yeah, I thought long and hard about the drivers all day at work. I thought, what are we going to do here with the driver lineup? And I'm pretty happy with the drivers we managed to sign. I'll obviously go into it, but first of all, let's reveal it. Drum roll, please. And there we go. George Russell is now one with Aston Martin, followed by Lance Stroll. Obviously, he was always going to be a one to stay, I believe, and Nick De Vries in reserve. Which I was going to keep Vettel as a reserve driver. I really was because promoted Hulkenberg and replaced him with George Russell. And then I was going to keep Vettel as reserve driver because it was a comment. But then I thought, you know what? That's unfair. Vettel is 33. I'm not going to let him sit as a reserve driver. So I thought I'd let him go and chase that 5th World Championship elsewhere. We'll see whether he found an F1 team because it was quite late. I didn't sort of sign him when everyone else was signed, but we'll see. we'll see. We got Nick De Vries though. I'm really keen to see how he goes in that reserve driver. Give him a couple drives in practice. Maybe he can fill in. But this is a driver lineup for the ages here. Lance Stroll did all right last season. Hopefully he can improve this season. But George Russell, he did bits in that Williams car, if you remember. And British driver and a British team. It's quite exciting times here at Aston Martin. Hopefully we can get him a world championship this season. He's going to be fighting the British Lewis Hamilton, of course, in his Merc. So it's going to be quite intense. We signed him for 3 years. I'm really looking forward to seeing him in action, but there's plenty of other driver lineups to reveal. There's a lot of changes in the driver market, that's for sure. All right, so we're going to go through each team one by one and sort of look at the changes. So let's start alphabetically here. AlphaTauri are our first team here. Quite well, they kept their two drivers, Gasly and Yuki. Yuki actually won Driver of the Year, which is quite weird because I didn't think had a great season. I don't think AlphaTauri had a very good season last year. He had double the points of Gasly. I'm honestly surprised Gasly kept his seat. He only scored 20 points. I mean, we scored about 50 each of our drivers, so one of our drivers didn't finish 10 races. But yeah, and then S Bird here is the reserve driver. I'm pretty sure he was just signed for the current ability, so I won't look too much into that. But that is AlphaTauri. They retain both their drivers. Next on to Alpine, starting with a lot of retaining here, Alonso and Ocon. But Pascal Wehrlein, I believe he was the reserve driver for Mercedes. He's now signed as a reserve driver for Alpine. But yeah, Fernando Alonso, Ocon. Of course, Alonso won a race last year, I believe. So no-brainer to keep him for. I mean, they're both contracted on for one more year, I believe. So maybe we'll see more of a mix-up next year from Alpine. But yeah, the first two teams staying the same. Now, this is where things get tasty. Alfa Romeo were relegated out of Formula One. Of course, they had 0 points last season, and ART took their place. And maybe if you knew who was on ART last season, you know that they've now moved on. They were linked to heavily with us, but we couldn't pick them up. But we'll get into that later when we come around to it. But I'm very excited to see how Oscar does in Formula One. He's a great driver in real life. Obviously Australian. I'm Australian. This is good move for me. And Sebastian Vettel signed with ART. So a very different sort of two drivers there. One at sort of the end of their career, one at the very beginning. It's going to be quite an exciting team, I believe, ART. I'm very keen to see what they can do. Obviously, they got the second worst car on grid. They're better than Haas. So, yeah, that's something to keep an eye on, ART with Vettel and Oscar. Next up, we have Ferrari, who retained Charles and Sainz. I thought they might have dropped Sainz, but they didn't. Sainz was shocking last year, in my opinion. He constantly went out in Q2 while Leclerc was getting on pole, but maybe there's a massive gap between the cars. I honestly don't know. And then Bamber as a reserve driver, again, probably just signed for the current ability. Alright, Haas have retained Schumacher and Mazepin, and Fittipaldi is the reserve driver. I'm not sure if he was last season. I think he might have been actually, but yeah, Mazepin obviously has a long contract. Schumacher got an extension in his contract, so he is staying put at Haas, and so is Mazepin. They're going to have a tough year this year. They're worst on grid. I think they might get relegated. Hopefully, Schumacher stays in F1 after that. Obviously, we've got the relegation promotion system. But yeah, that's Haas. Next, move on to McLaren, who also retain Ricciardo, Norris, and Giovinazzi as a reserve driver. Ricciardo frequently put on the second row last season, so it'll be interesting to see if he can continue with that form. Giovinazzi obviously wanted to stay in F1 after Alfa Romeo got demoted, so he is signed as a reserve driver with McLaren. Moving on though. Now, massive news here. Mercedes drop Bottas and kept Lewis obviously. Callum Ilott will fill in there, signed from the Ferrari reserve spot. And then our man, who we were heavily linked to, the F2 champion, but he signed with Mercedes. I actually tried to sign him as a reserve driver, but he just wasn't interested in negotiating at all. So he wasn't even an option for us, really. He signed with Mercedes. Fair enough. They are the reigning runners-up, I guess. They're not the champions because, of course, Red Bull won it, but Hamilton won it. It's going to be interesting to see how Callum Ilott does. Will he do better than Bottas? I'm not sure. I think Bottas is better on current ability, but be very interesting to watch this. They got some two great drivers there. Next up, Red Bull Racing, all retaining, of course, Max Verstappen, who was contending last season. These two won the title last year for Red Bull, so I didn't think they were going to change very much, and they didn't. Alex Albon still in that reserve spot, still contracted. So, see if Red Bull can go one better and get Verstappen a first championship in his career. All right, and now finishing off with Williams, which is a bit of a romantic story here. Hulkenberg gets a Formula One drive back on the grid with Williams, and Valtteri Bottas stays on the grid here with Williams. It's a bit of a weird lineup for Williams, I must say. Um, Obviously, Russell came to us, and Latifi got dropped completely. I think he's in Formula 2 now. And then Mitch Evans, I believe his name is their reserve driver, again, just for current ability. But it's going to be very interesting. Two pretty good drivers at the ends of their careers, as you can see there. But yeah, very interesting lineups. I'm quite excited for this season. And then if we have a look here, Daniel Kvyat is actually racing for Alfa Romeo in Formula 2. And then, yeah, we'll quickly go through the Formula 2s. Not many names I know, to be honest. I don't really follow Formula 2 or other sort of series. But Latifi racing for Prema. And yeah, and David Schumacher, the F3 Championship, is actually racing for Trident in Formula 2 now, which is exciting. Hopefully he can go back to back, win F2 as well, and then get a call up to Formula 1. But yeah, that is our grid for Formula 1 2022. I'm excited for the season. I hope you are too. Also, we've had a couple additions to the HQ. Obviously, we finished our upgrade. I believe it was either the design center, no, it's the factory, I believe. The factory is now upgraded max level. We've been working on that for most of the last season. The test track's almost upgraded, and I decided to build a road car factory. It cost me 65 million, but it's going to give us about 700, I think 650 actually, 650 grand a race extra. So it pays for itself over like 2 or 3 seasons, and we have the money. Like we still got 85 million to spend this season. Yeah, it shouldn't be a problem. Money should not be an issue. So that's fine. A few HQ additions, hopefully. I mean, I don't know how long we'll be around. I mean, 40 weeks. That'll take us to at least the end of the second season. But hey, season 3 will have money, and maybe we can eventually build the theme park if we really want to make another million per race, which would be great. So yeah, a couple of HQ additions there. All right, and now it is time for our first race of the season here. I finished a suspension upgrade and now working on an engine upgrade. Sorry, an engine new part because what I sort of wasn't sure about last season was would it keep the gaps between the engines or would it give us two like relatively similar engines but no, it's kept the exact parts that we had on the car. So there's massive discrepancies because obviously we just sort of built one massively illegal part to carry over the performance. So I am building another engine just to sort of equal out the performance a little bit between Russell and Stroll's cars. I'm giving all the best parts to Russell because he is technically the better driver, even though they're equal status. But you know, it's fine. We all want to see Russell succeed because he's British. So we're a British team. Lance Stroll is also his dad also owns the team, but you know, maybe we can sort of divvy up the parts. But we're sort of trying to bridge that gap. Reliability is a bit more of a worry this season because they didn't start at 100% like last season or 98% or whatever it was. So we worked. I got the engines up to 100% reliability because we can push on them. But we didn't really have a problem with reliability last season, and if we do, we can just fix it for no time at the pit stops anyway. So focusing on the performance, engines are important here at Sakhir, so hopefully we can use that to our advantage. Well, look at that. Even that little suspension upgrade has put us fourth on grid, so the car is looking really good. I'm still second behind Mercedes, no surprise there. They're beating us in every area but the engine, so that makes sense. Yeah, I'll see you for qualifying 2. We'll stay with that format until we see. Maybe if we make qualifying 3 every time, we can switch qualifying 3. I honestly don't know what's going to happen. I'll see you in Q2 for now. All right, qualifying 2. Sakhir Grand Prix, first race of the season 2, I should say. 3 runs is possible on this track, so we will aim for that. Do we go out and softs with Russell? I think we do. Let's try and get to Q3 on the soft, so he's on the ultimate strategy. Stroll is going to struggle. There's a massive gap between our cars and performance-wise. I've noticed that straight away, unfortunately. But you know, we'll send him out on softs, give him a run on the softs, see if we can make something of it. But yeah, massive gap. Hopefully we can bridge that pretty soon, or else we're not going to be able to push for this championship this season. Because Stroll, to be honest, looked like he was barely going to make it at Q1. Russell puts it on first place, so he doesn't need to go out again. So that first car is really good. The second car, though, yeah, a bit of work to be done. So we'll definitely work on that throughout the season. Stroll is going to need to go onto the Super Soft to make to Q3. Do we even want it in Q3? If I'm liking his position in 11th, to be honest, but we'll keep sending him out. You know what? We'll send him out in the Super Softs. We've got to make him feel a bit like he's got a bit of a chance, or else we'll have a Leclerc and Sainz situation like last year. Callum Ilott is in the top 10. I'm really excited to see how these different driver lineups sort of mold. Hulkenberg and Bottas both in Q2. I missed that, and I'm going to miss the third run here. So, maybe it's a blessing if we get knocked out here. We can start on 11th with Stroll, but we got a Q3 to look forward to. Oh, he does get knocked out. That's all right. He gets the optimal strategy now for the race, really, starting on softs in 11th. So there's no point him squeezing in the top 10 and having to start on bad tyres. So Russell and Stroll are going to both be able to start on softs. So kind of the perfect Q2 for me. Um, both Williams in Q2 is quite surprising. First time we've seen that whole series here with Aston Martin. Obviously, we've stolen our best performing driver, George Russell. Very keen to see what he can do. Let's see what he can do in Q3 here. Can he snag pole? Um, could we get a race win here in Sakhir? We got the engine for it. We're fighting with a Mercedes here. I don't know if it's Ilott or Hamilton. If it's Ilott, then he's already doing God's work for Hamilton. Alright, back in. We go second, probably behind Lewis. Yeah, a whole second behind Lewis, which doesn't really make sense because we're sort of clashing with him the entire lap. But we're going to go out for a second lap here. Hopefully, that traffic doesn't really look like it affected us too much. Quick, go back in. We can get a third lap in here. I mean, a front row is not bad, but we really want to be pushing for pole, don't we? We don't want to be 6/10 off pole when it's an engine-heavy circuit, and that's our only advantage over Mercedes at the moment. But we'll see how we go here. Like I said, it is only our second season, so if we're not... Oh, hang on. I'll shut up for a minute. Ah, half a second off Hamilton, not terrible. Let's just make sure the difficulty is still on. Yeah, still on hard. Fantastic. But there it is. Second place for Russell. We'll definitely take that. The car has got pace. Ilott down in 7th. Perez down in 8th. Verstappen down in 4th. It seems to be like each team has one horse in the race. We just got to get Lance Stroll up a couple more positions with a couple parts. And we could be fighting a battle here. Yeah, I'm actually really keen to see how the season goes. I'll see you for the race. Alright, race day here in Sakhir. First race of season 2. So we are on the proper strategy here with Hamilton. We're going to be able to go quite long into our first stint. Hopefully we don't lose sight of him. Even if we can overtake him would be ideal, really, wouldn't it? Let's put Lance Stroll before we forget. I did that twice at the end of last season, forgetting to put him on the proper strategy. It's only rain today, of course, not we're in the desert. How long do these tyres last? We could pull off. We're definitely going to be able to pull off the one stop here. Unless the tyre temps become a problem. They're going to just go push, overtake. Hopefully it's not a DNF bug with the first car, or else the series could take a downwards turn. But here we go. George Russell with his first race. Can he get Lewis Hamilton? Rumoured to be a teammate in real life. Now he's a biggest rival. Bad start for Russell. Leclerc's going to get him off the line, and he's going to be fighting. Look at that car. It looks beautiful. I wanted to go around and change all the other liveries of the car, but it would have taken too long. I want to keep the daily upload, so... Russell is dropping back in the pack quite fast here, but that's fine. They're going to have to do one more pit stop than us, so as long as we can stay sort of competitive, we're going to tell them to go back on normal. Yeah, so also we have Curse this season. I completely forgot to mention that earlier, but of course they got voted in. I'm just going to delegate it to them because, in real life, I'm pretty sure they get to control how they use it, when to use it, and blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, it's one less thing I have to worry about, so I'll definitely let them have it. But we are falling off the pace quite a bit, so we're going to tell them, the boys, to push. And, whoa, that hybrid is OP there. Holy Moses. He's got 5 laps of fuel. That's that hybrid setting, eh? Okay, that's a bit overpowered, but sure. Surely that's a bit of a bug. Yeah, anyway, I don't know. We're going to push on here, but we're already 10 laps down. It feels like this race is going very quickly, probably because it is. But we're going to try and cool the tyres down a little bit to try and preserve them. I mean, it's fun. We're going to be able to one-stop it anyway. We'll just keep him at that. Hopefully, I don't know what Stroll's doing, but he's just generating fuel. He's got 6 laps of excess fuel. I'm sure everyone else is in the same boat, however. Hopefully the power boost is worth it. Yeah, it looks like it was. Russell made quite a few gains there. It looks like we're out of the pit window though with Hamilton, so not great there, but that's fine. Even if we can just get a solid finish with Russell without a DNF would be fantastic. And I think they're going to be able to one-stop it actually. I think they'll go to the end on those tyres, so We're going to lose that sort of edge we had with the soft tyres, but that's fine. We're going to pit pretty early here. Should we pit now? We're going to have to look after this second set of softs. That's the only thing. Should we add 25%? Why not? Safe pit stop. Don't want to cause an overcharge. Yeah, 85, 86%. Lovely stuff. Russell comes back out in 5th. Look after these tyres, mate. See him through to the end. We're going to jump around with Stroll here. We're going to monitor those tyres, get him into the pits nice and quick. He can stay in overtake mode the whole race, really, because his ERS management has been flawless. We've overtaken Daniel Ricciardo. He's pitted. Okay, that's a bit less impressive. Not much overtaking is actually happening here. We're going to tell Stroll to pit now. Just double check no rain. Nah, no rain at all. Park condition is 0 seconds, but it can cause mistakes, so we're not going to do it. If there's a mistake, it's no longer 0 seconds, so we're not going to just risk it here. Don't want to exploit it anyway. But here we go. Comes out in P9. Not terrible. Not terrible. So, as things stand, where will we sit on the table? 4th. Okay. Well, that's what the objective was, actually. We told Lawrence Stroll that it would get 4th place, so that's not bad there. Obviously, we want to be a bit higher than 4th, but 4th was the highest we could go. Max Verstappen's run wide. Alright, let's jump on board. Russell, who's going to be fighting for our first podium with Aston Martin. Aston Martin's very first podium on the return to the sport. We're going to tell him to stop going easy on the tyres and start pushing it a little bit harder here. I'm going to tell Stroll to ease up a little bit. Come on, Russell. Close that gap to Max Verstappen. 16 laps. I haven't even had to cut this race. It's been that quick. It's been a 4-minute race, but we've had a long episode, obviously, catching everyone up with Season 2. So, you know, it might not even... Actually, it won't even be a longer than average episode. Yeah, it will. Qualifying ended at 17 minutes. This is at least going to be another 10 or so. 8 maybe. But yeah, stop talking about the episode length. Let's get into this one. How are we closing that gap to Verstappen? Sort of. Not really. It's sort of not getting any smaller, but we can push a little bit on these tyres. So hopefully we're going to have Stroll to push as well, because he's not really going to get Perez. We don't want to cause an accident, that's all. But riding on board with Russell here, he is starting to close that gap now. Cook those tyres, mate. We don't need them. We don't want him back after this race. 5 laps to go. Here we go. The fight with Verstappen is on. Blue flag for Lance Stroll. Let him by, mate. The fight with Verstappen is on. Here we go. George Russell, Max Verstappen. Fight for P3. Let's do it. Max Verstappen doing well there. He's going to go let's go 2 times. But how long we got? 4 laps. We don't want George. He's already cooking his tyres, but you know. Oh, you know what? I think those tyres will make it to the end. Let's have a look here. Oh, mate, they got 20 laps left. Yeah, push as hard as you want. Oh, and we got past. I went super speed, but we saw the overtake anyway. He does really well there. Now, hopefully, he can just zoom away. What's Verstappen on? He's on similar strategy to us. He's got same ERS charge. It's going to be tight. We're on 2 times here. 3 laps to go. Let's zoom ahead a little bit. Hopefully, with that engine, we can pull away. Looks like we are. Alonso's 12 seconds behind Verstappen. Leclerc's 10 seconds down the road. He's gone. We've got a blue flag here. Hopefully, it doesn't mess up at us too badly. Verstappen's staying with us here. On to the final... No, not final lap yet. George Russell here. I think we've lost Verstappen. George Russell could be on for a podium in his debut, which is to be expected. We have the second best car on grid, but Leclerc got away today. That's fine. Hamilton got even further away. Stroll finishes P9. I'm happy with that. His car is probably around that, to be honest. But yes, George Russell gets our very first podium in the series in the very first race of Season 2 on his debut. He has the pass, though, to be fair. He has the second best car on grid. Finished 3rd today. That's fine. It's his... As long as he finished the race, unlike Vettel. No offense to Vettel. We love Vettel. How did he go today anyway? 15th. Not bad in ART. The Williams had a uninspiring race down there. The Bottas and Hulkenberg. Daniel Ricciardo down in P7. That McLaren slowed down this year. AlphaTauri of Pierre Gasly. Bit higher. Yuki, driver of the year last year, surprisingly down in 14th. Lando Norris down in 13th. Sainz, that second Ferrari, really struggling. So we finished below the first Ferrari, but above the second Ferrari. But obviously they're going to get more points because it's top-ended heavy with the points distribution. Fastest lap goes to Lewis Hamilton. I don't know why I only got 26 points. He gets an extra 2, doesn't he? Don't know, but there he is. George Russell, 3rd on the podium. Very quick race, but that's good good, I guess. Didn't have to do any cuts. So Charles Leclerc goes second, obviously. It's pretty much just well, it is just the standings of the race, but 1 point above Red Bull, 2 points behind Ferrari, 17 points behind Mercedes. They've doubled up points total first race. Ilott must have had a decent race. Where did Ilott finish? Sixth. Wow, fair play to him. That's probably already equal Bottas. I feel like Bottas was always behind Perez. Maybe, I mean, there is a bigger difference now. Red Bull's car is nowhere near as good as Mercedes now. They've fallen behind big time. At the start of last season, I'm pretty sure Red Bull might have even had the better car. But yeah, that is the first race. Nice and quick. First podium for Aston Martin. Beautifully done. Alright, just as a bit of a disclaimer here, I was going to mention this before, but I forgot to mention it. But to get this grid of drivers, I did have to use the Motorsport Manager Save Editor. So half of the signings were sort of organic, like the game made them, but the other half I did switch around just because I didn't feel that they were realistic signings. See, this grid may not be like, it's a bit fantasy, but I feel like it's sort of somewhat realistic. But like Mercedes signed, what's his name? Where is he? Tandy here. He's like a 37-year-old driver. I don't know. I think he endurance or some other series, and I thought, oh, that's not a great signing. So I did use the Motorsport Save Game Editor. I do a video if you want to learn how to use it yourself. It's I made this as realistic and as entertaining, sort of getting that balance. But yeah, sorry if you don't agree with that, but that is what happened. I thought I'd be completely honest with you. Yeah, down in the comments below if you want to learn, description below if you want to learn how to use the Motorsport Save Game Editor. Yeah, back to the video. Alright, so I forgot to show the interview, but they asked me if I wanted to sign Lewis Hamilton because he won the race, and I said, no, I support my drivers, so I've pissed off Lewis Hamilton a little bit. Um, Angered by interview, as you can see there, won't discuss terms. I'm not that cut, mate. I'm pretty happy with our lineup. George Russell with a great debut. I'm really happy with that third place podium. Hopefully, he can only build on that result as well. I feel a bit bad for Lance because the cars are so apart, but this engine will shore things up very nicely. Lawrence Stroll will be very happy to see his son in equal machinery in hopefully a good 4 races, I reckon. My prediction, and having two kick-ass cars who are both second best on grid. I think that'll be much better than having one amazing car and one car that's struggling to make the points. That's definitely what I want to do. It'll help us in the Drivers' Championship a lot to have two cars fighting for podiums. So that is the plan. Maybe we won't win a Drivers' Championship this year, but I am planning to do the series for at least 3 seasons. So to be fighting for podiums in the second season is a bit mental anyway. I did not know we are going to do that. Obviously, I'm completely happy we did. I think it's down to our parts last season, but yeah. Hope you've enjoyed first episode of season 2. Welcome to the save if you didn't watch season 1. Welcome back to everyone who did watch season 1. Good to have you back. Please leave, you know how we do it. Please leave comments down below on feedback. Sorry if you don't agree with some of the transfers or you don't agree with my driver lineup or the fact that I used the save game editor for some of the AI transfers. I didn't use it for my transfers. I should have said that in disclaimer. But I didn't use it for my transfers. They were all done in the game. But yeah, just for the AI, because yeah, I just wanted to sort of create some storylines, make the series entertaining. But yeah, thank you so much. If you're enjoying the series, please leave a like in the video. It helps the video out a lot. And subscribe if you're not already. And I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.